Hello to all my subscribers. This video might be a little different than what you are used to seeing from me. Well, not necessarily, because I know I've done some stuff like this before, but this particular video is not going to be related to beauty products or fashion or definitely not body positivity. It's going to be about my depression and my anxiety. And my diagnosis of PTSD. I have all three of those diagnoses attached to me and possibly more. But I have suffered from depression since I was about 12 years old. Likely it was situational depression because my parents were sick from the time I was 12 years old. They both had cancer and eventually died. So there is a type of depression where you are depressed because of the situation that you're in. So I have dealt with depression on and off for the majority of my life. For the majority of my life, luckily, it came in waves. In other words, I might have a period of depression where I'm extremely depressed. I was hospitalized as a teenager, and then I may feel better and be able to completely function and go about school and work and caring for my family. And then there comes a point where I'm not able to again. And luckily, throughout most of my life, the way that it worked was that I would have a period of depression that would last it would begin and I would seek treatment and my doctor would put me on antidepressants and possibly anti-anxiety drugs if that was a factor in that current state of depression. And I would go to therapy and I would start to feel better. The symptoms would resolve. They would be managed and under control, and I would resume all of my normal activities and feel better. And I went periods of several years without being depressed at all. And I'm very happy that the majority of my life that's the way it was. Unfortunately, in the last few years, the depression waves, so to speak, have come more frequently. So, for example, I had a period of depression about 3 years ago, and then I had another period of depression about a year and a half ago, and then I had another period of depression that started in March. Probably actually started before then and probably never really resolved itself from the period of depression that I had a year and a half ago. And in addition to that, I also struggle with a lot of issues with anxiety, especially during my most recent episode of depression. It's been really bad. My anxiety sometimes keeps me from leaving the house for several days at a time. My anxiety keeps me awake at night. Here's an example. It's 4 a.m. I haven't gone to sleep yet. But I'm trying to be productive by filming this because this is something that I've needed to do for a long time. So, in addition to all of those things, I also suffer from something called post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. And I was told that I had this years ago because I had such a traumatic childhood. And to be honest with you, I sort of scoffed it off and said, no, that's something someone that's gone through you know, some type of tragedy or war or an incident has. Well, unfortunately, a few years ago, I did have a bad incident, a violent incident in my life. My home was robbed, and I was held at gunpoint. And that's something that I have a very hard time talking about. I can't even talk whenever I talk about it. But that causes a lot of problems too. So that has compounded everything. So it's really hard to deal with depression. And, you know, just because you're depressed does not mean that you're crying all the time. I mean, in fact, if you're on medications, you might just sort of be like this all the time. But that doesn't mean that you can function and do all of your normal things. And I pulled up something about depression because the reason why I'm doing this is I know that I'm not alone. I know that there are people that are watching this right now that suffer from depression. So I pulled up a few things on the internet. Here's something. Depression hurts. It really, really does. First of all, it does cause you to have physical pain. Some of that is because you're not sleeping right and you're not eating right, or you're not exercising and you're staying in one position too long because you're trapped by your depression. It does, you know, it can cause you to have chronic pain. Sometimes for other reasons too, like if you have inflammatory disease and things like that in your life. You don't want to ask for help. When you're depressed, the act of seeking help feels counterintuitive to your depression, if that makes sense at all. But you don't want to ask people for help. You don't want to ask your friends for help because it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing for me to be talking about this right now on YouTube. However, I'm doing this maybe to try to help myself, probably more to try to help other people. And maybe that will help me in turn. I don't know that really necessarily talking about this on YouTube is really going to help me, but it might help other people. So, but you don't want to ask for help. I don't have any problems, you know, when I get to a point, you know, finding a therapist or finding a psychiatrist if that's something you need, or talking to your actual doctor about it if that's something that you need to do. But asking friends to listen and help is hard because, at least for me at this point in my depression, I feel like my friends have had it with me. You know, I feel like they're like, just be happy. Just be happy. Or just get over it. Or isn't your medication helping yet? Or you're depressed again. Because that's the other thing that happens is sometimes I am okay, you know, and I am feeling better. And I might have really good days where I'm happy and I can function and I can go out in a social setting. And sometimes whenever I'm in a social setting and I appear to be happy, it's an act. Not necessarily, you know, an act, but for me it's more of a fake it until you make it kind of thing. You know, like, come on, just be happy. Get into the moment of it. Be joyous and happy to be around your friends. And sometimes that's enough for me to smile and be funny and be entertaining and all of those other things. But I'm sure, you know, using Robin Williams as an example, sometimes the people that make you laugh are crying on the inside, and that's definitely true. It's definitely true. So some of the other things, it says that depression is going to make your relationship with food change, and it is very complicated. And this says, and it's very true, there are days that I forget to eat. And then there are days that I'm eating everything in sight. So that's definitely not very great One of the other things it says is that some friends may ditch you, and that's okay. You know, I have some good friends that have definitely stood by me. But I have some friends that, especially whenever this episode of depression first kind of reared its ugly head, that didn't really stick around. And they probably just really weren't my friends. You know, maybe I snapped at them with my anxiety, or I was bitchy because I suffer from anxiety and it causes me to be bitchy. Or maybe I canceled too many times, or didn't show up to an event too many times. But I was probably home and depressed. And I think that people need to think about those things whenever they're making judgments or casting judgments on a friend, and maybe they need to reach out and make sure that that friend's okay. It's hard. It's just hard. Depression makes you feel like you are absolutely losing your mind, and it does, because it's like your depression talks to you. Your depression says, why don't you feel better? You were feeling better not last week. Why do you feel like crap today? And one of the reasons why I'm doing this right now is I was starting to feel better, and now I'm not feeling so great. And sometimes it's situational things, like maybe something didn't work out the way you wanted it to, or maybe it's really gray and rainy out, or maybe the seasons are changing and you don't like the season that's coming up, or maybe the holidays are approaching and that is stressful for you. Or maybe you have some stressful health things going on in your life. Or maybe you have a combination of all those things and it's just like a storm, you know? And I think for me, the thing that's been the hardest is I haven't always reached out to my friends. And I also feel like my friends are sick of my depression, you know? That they don't want to deal with it anymore. And that might not necessarily be true. That could be my depression talking to me and telling me that that's the case. So, you know, it's just hard. Here's something. It says, everything will start to annoy you. Even you will start to annoy you. And that's absolutely true. Today I had a really tough day. I had to force myself to take a shower and to get out of the house. And that's hard to admit right here and right now. I had to force myself to take a shower and to leave my house and to run some errands. And I ran 3 errands, and I had lunch with my son. And the first errand I did went well, and the lunch with my son went well. And then I had 2 more errands after that, and one of them was going to a Kmart, and Kmart was having a coupon special, and it was like double coupons, and there were all these stipulations to it, and apparently it was in really small print and that I didn't read. You know, my fault. But when I got up to the counter, it became this whole big complex thing, and I freaked out. I didn't freak out to the point, well, I did freak out, you know, and I said to the cashier and the manager, this is why Kmart's going out of business. They ignored me when I said that, but it's true. Kmart's going out of business. I don't know what Kmart's are like in your area, but Kmart's in my area are falling apart, crumbling. The parking lots are empty. You know, it's not like going to Target where it's like bustling, or Walmart where it's like bustling and there's lots of people. The Kmart's are definitely like failing, and so they have this coupon special, and I thought, well, I'm going to go in and use some of my coupons and stock up on some things, and I ended up walking out with nothing after spending an hour and a half shopping, and I was really frustrated by it, and I didn't yell directly at the cashier or the manager, but I did say, Kmart sucks, basically. Kmart sucks. Then I had to stop at another store, and when I walked in,